every creative writer in the world. And I need your help.
The world is constantly changing,
Which is why it's our duty. No, it's our responsibility to inspire creativity. My creative writing tips, tricks, and strategies are going to help you become a better writer. So that way you can beat procrastination. Join me on this journey to unite the creative writing industry. And let's inspire creativity in the world together. What does creative writing mean to you? Welcome to Kauffman Writes, the first creative writing daily live stream to help give you motivation, inspiration, strategy, and maybe a little bit of procrastination. I'm your host, Kauffman, and today I'd like to welcome you to World Building Wednesdays. We are hopping into our community created story, Hermes the Cat, which I have now aptly titled Hermes the Cat Lost in Asylum. So we're going to be digging into and compiling all of the stuff, all of the ideas, the narrative, the structure, the characters into one concise blurb and one concise section. So that way, if we were to start writing the story now, we would be able to have a clear idea of what we need to work on, what parts need to be done, and how we could go about developing the story. If you've joined us in the previous workshops, we've been workshopping this story as a community in our world building Wednesdays, our story structure Tuesdays, and our fiction character Fridays. So we've been doing a mix of all of that as we've been developing the story over the past couple of weeks. I thought it would be apt and perfect to finally give Hermes a spotlight so we can put it all together once and for all. Hey, what's up, Marta? Welcome to the stream. Welcome from English England, closer than Poland by 1 hour. So it's only not quite so late for you. Welcome to the stream. Hey, what's up, Lewis? Welcome. Looks like we got a couple of UK residents over here. Exciting, which means it's a little later for y'all than it is for me. So if you haven't, or if you've missed out on some of the previous workshops that we've gone through, don't worry. We're going to go over it all today. But after the stream, if you want, I've included a playlist down below into all of the popular workshops where we've done it as a community. So you can always check that out. And by the way, if you're watching on the replay, I got you covered because time codes are added at the end of the stream and you can hop to the part of the video that brings you the most value. Stick around till the end of the workshop and we'll do our daily writing sprint. I am at an intense part of the story with Last Scarecrow, almost 80%. So I got some writing to do and you can turn along if you want. All right. So as we hop into our world building Wednesday, I have to ask myself, so we've gone notes and notes. We've gone so much notes as we've been developing Hermes the Cat. So I thought about it because I could have called the story Hermes the Cat Lost in Purgatory, because this is essentially the story of how Hermes the Cat has to escape purgatory. But I thought I like this asylum ring gave it, or the asylum name was a nice ring to it. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to call this level, this type of purgatory, it's going to be called Asylum. And where it's going to be its own world as we've developed so many parts of it. Hey, what's up, LeMay? Welcome to the stream, my friend. We're putting together our Hermes the Cat community story today. So when we think about the core story of what is Hermes the Cat, ooh, that's, I don't want quite so large. Let's go. Perfect. So I'll blow that up. So when I think about what the core story is, I think I like 18. There we go. And we think about what is the core story. So the core story is Hermes the Cat wakes up in purgatory, but we're actually going to now call it in Asylum. Hermes the Cat wakes up in Asylum, a purgatory for lost souls, where he must traverse where he must traverse all 9 levels if he hopes to if he wants a chance to return to life. Let's see. Where he must traverse all 9 levels if he wants a chance to return to life. I hate using words more than twice in a section. So, because sometimes as readers and writers, like word choice, distinct word choice can make things sound so much more exciting. So I've created a rule where I hate repeating words unless I have to. So I was like, he must traverse all 9 levels of hell if he wants to return for if he wants to return for his 10th life. So that's part of the mystery. We're like, right? Cats only have 9 lives. So how come Hermes gets a 10th one? Let's see. He must traverse all 9 levels of hell. He must traverse all 9 levels if he wants to return for his 10th life. Perfect. I love that. So that is the core story. That's Hermes the Cat. Now, as we go over some of our notes, so I'm going to first look at the structure of it. Now, this is a great strategy if, like for yourself, let's say you've been planning out your story and you're ready to get started, but you're like, okay, well, I have so much, but I want to just start writing. Now, if you have all the ideas in your head, great. But what's a great way to really organize everything so you can really dig into it? So let's see, let me pull up. So what I'm doing is I've compiled my notes from the previous couple of weeks. Let's see, some of them were just focused on character. And I want to say that we did one solid workshop on Hermes. All right, perfect. And let's see, I want to say that it was workshop number 6, I believe. Here we go. Our story idea. Part 1. Oh my goodness. This is when we first thought about Hermes the cat. Hermes from a magical. Yep. Okay. So this was when we were coming up with ideas. What we're going to do is we're going to put, we have the core story on the left. Hermes the cat lost in Asylum. And now we're going to put story and we're going to put themes. And then we're going to copy paste our outline. And then, we also want our characters because our characters are utterly important. Characters, and then the world. What is the world? So the world is Asylum is a type of purgatory where lost souls must overcome challenges and collect a type of currency to ascend, or let's say to ascend each level. Perfect. And then the types of challenges range from physical to spiritual to all the way to feats of intellect, because we've created quite a number of different types of challenges for our story. So there's the story. Here's the world at its core, and we're going to get some themes and we'll put our outline. So let's look at some of these ideas we had. So we know he's ran out about 10 lives. And actually, let's make sure we have, what is the message of the story? Because you always want to be asking yourself, and this is a really great call out. You always want to be asking yourself as a writer, what's the message that you want your readers or you want your audience to walk away from your story from? What's the thing that you want them to be asking themselves the moment they read the last word or watch the last scene? And I want to say, I believe that we developed a message. I think it was how to overcome a lifetime Or is it possible? Is it possible to overcome a lifetime of selfishness and mistakes? I think we have it better worded somewhere, but we'll come back to it. Okay, so we know he's come back from death. He said he was going to ride a UFO like spaceship. Okay. Oh man. That's right. And we have quite some characters. So we're going to bullet point the characters that we've developed. Let's see, where's my little bullet point? There we go. All right, so characters, we have Hermes the Cat. And then we have his sidekick, the best. How many other chances will you get? Ooh, Marta, I like that. How many other chances will you get? I'm going to adjust that slightly. How many other chances will you get? How many other chances will one get when they run out of lives? When they run out of chances. How many other chances will one get when they run out of... No, that doesn't sound right. I'm just going to leave it. How many other chances will one get? For some reason, like that made me think of like a tagline if this was an animated series. And I'd say, for some reason, I was thinking, how many chances can one cat get when they've used up all 9 lives? I was like, all right, that's going to be my tagline right now. Tagline. Okay, so this is the message, and now this is going to be slightly under themes as well. So I'm actually going to move themes right beneath our message because that's actually here. So I think how many other chances will one get is part of our theme. Perfect. And I think I'm just going to do it like this, make it super easy. So we can clean this up, make this as simple and straightforward as possible. And definitely for any of you who've been involved in the workshops over the past couple of weeks, or let's say like you see something and you think of a great idea, feel free to drop it in the comments. I would love to hear your brainstorming. So we definitely got in quite a collection of ideas, and this is the very first community story that we've put together. Okay, so our characters, let's go to our characters. Hermes the Cat, we have the flying mouse, which is his sidekick, which is our sidekick character. We have a race of, we have our alien alligators. So this is going to be more a collection of characters. I know we have the devil, who's actually an alien in disguise. So we'll put Hermes the Cat, we'll put protagonist. And then flying mouse, sidekick. And then we have alien devil, who we haven't given quite a name yet. We'll just put antagonist. And then we're going to put alien alligators. As we'll just put henchmen for now. Or I guess henchmen and henchwoman to be correct for both genders. Hench side evil sidekicks. There we go. We'll do that. Perfect. And then we've come up with some other fun characters as well. So let's see. We have our story, our tagline, our themes, our characters, the world, and the outline. Okay. So I think those are going to be a lot of good elements. Let's keep going and see what else. What happens when you make too many mistakes and you run out of chances? Perfect. We added that. Awesome. And then here was our outline we came up with. So I can actually blow this up. What is the structure? Perfect. So we had broken up the structure for this into a couple separate workshops. So when I think of the outline, let's just put this into, we're going to make this super easy. We're going to put the beginning. I'll do the beginning of it. No, that is too big. And let's make this all smaller. Perfect. We have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And we've already we know that Hermes is a selfish character. Selfish. Have to bear with us. He has been cursed. The reason he's come back is because he has been cursed to repeat Asylum, which is why he's stuck here. And then what else do we got? He's messed up so many times. He is in Asylum because he's messed up too many times. Let's see. And then it turns out that the alien alligators, now we had determined this as a race, but that they're trying to kill him because they're trying to save him from a fate worse than death. Which means that throughout the story, Hermes is actually going to end up inspiring these alligator sidekicks through his actions. All right, so we have the outline, the beginning. Yep, Hermes trying to get in. So we're going to just lose that beat for right now because I know we actually had a full outline. We'll come back to that. Let's see, Hermes does a selfless act. We had the middle, and then we started defining each of the levels. Okay. Let's see what we did. Beautiful. All right. So we're going to break this up into each of the 3 levels. So we have level, actually, he's working back from level 10. So technically we have level 10, level 9, and then level 8. And we're just going to do a very brief description for each of these. And then middle, level 7, level 6, level 5. And then he actually, I want to say we get 4. I think we had him repeat the last 3. Hi, oh my God, please tell me I'm not missed too much. Hey, what's up, Bethany? Welcome to the stream, my friend. So what we're doing is we're putting together all of the Hermes the Cat story. We're putting it together into one document right now. So I'm just refreshing myself on all of the levels. So I want to say that we had level 4 in... Yeah, I want to say level 4 was still part of our midpoint. Level 4. And then he failed, so he has to do actually level 3.5. Level 3, level 2, and level 1. Okay, so this was the core story. So let's, starting from level 10, let's see what we had determined. Tests. Yep, that's exactly what this is, right? And each of his 9 lives, we've determined that themes. So let's see, that would be under Hermes as a character. Each of his 9 lives, he was a different type of cat and grew progressively more selfish and mean with each preceding life. He was spoiled in his early lives, since he was a revered species. Okay, and that way we get to different genders. Yep, Bethany, you remember. Different genders. Oh man, but in this story, he's going to be, at least he's going to be a male in this story, I think. Granted, we could play around with that. We could actually. What would in some of his lives he would have been what, Herma? Herma. Like, what would be the correct gender for that name? Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so I have the beginning here. Yep. There's the character chapters. Hermes. We went through all that. We got this stuff. Ooh, and then we also had a resolution moment too, actually. And then this is going to be technically resolution. Okay. So let's see. Hermes, antagonist, put a curse. Yep. I was seeing. I'm almost positive we had created the levels for levels 1 through 10. All right. So what we'll do is we're just going to do this. I'll start from level 1 and see what we got. So level 1 is birthplace. Birthplace confronts crazy cat lady. Level 2, I don't know. We haven't dictated the location, but confronts the devil. Turns out to be alien in disguise. Perfect. And then in level 1, he ends up he sacrifices himself to save the flying mouse. So that we had already determined. And then let's see, level 3 was going to be a cave of mysteries. Cave of mysteries must solve mysteries must solve different puzzles. Must solve different puzzles. Perfect. I know, Marta. I almost said Hermione. I'm like, you can't name a character Hermione. Like, literally, you can't name a character Hermione. That would be like if I tried to name a fantasy character Frodo. Like, or if we tried to name an antagonist Darth Vader. Like you can't without it causing either potential franchise problems or people just thinking too much of the original franchise. Our cat's going to have multiple genders. Our cat will be Ermy. Ermy's going to be his nickname in one of the lives. I love that. Yeah, so I think we determined that he had never met his dad, so that might be a character exploration. Let's see. And then we hadn't determined where 3.5 was, but only that repeat level for failing the previous levels. Catnip will be stolen. No. Let's see. And then we had determined that this will be the Cave of Mysteries will be a video game like fight. Ooh. Video game like fight. Oh, no, wait. That was our climax. Video game like fight. There we go. And let's just put this under, it. So we'll just do that for now. Like more than one. Hey, what's up, Vaughn? Welcome, my man. We're literally just working on our community story we've created over the past couple of weeks with Hermes the Cat. Feel free to tune in if you remember any details, or feel free to offer up some ideas. Oh, that's right. It's not because he failed, it's because he cheated. You're absolutely right. Thank you for that reminder. Repeat for being a cheater. Catnip will be stolen. You are absolutely right, Bethany. It was because he was a cheater. Cheater, pumpkin eater. And then we had our resolution where he wakes up in a real world. Was it real or all just a dream? Finds finds flying mouse, character, and a coin. Dun dun dun. All right. And then what did we get from our previous levels? So right now we know that level 10, he wakes up on I think we determined he wakes up in a spaceship. Wakes up in spaceship surrounded by alligators, who we know are aliens in disguise, but he does not know that. Okay, so let's go back. Let me see if I can find the other points we had. Okay, so 3.5. Yep, this was a punishment as we get the middle. So level 6 was a series of fights. Perfect. So level 6 was our Coliseum type thing. Coliseum fights. Perfect. And we determined he's fighting quite a number of characters. Coliseum fights, and this is where he meets the flying mouse. Okay, I was so confused why the levels didn't add up. I'm like, there wasn't a level 10. He starts in level 9. I was like, clearly Jared's tripping. I was like, okay, that makes so much more sense now. There we go. All right, there we go. That makes so much more sense. I was tripping. Okay, so we have our beginning, our middle, and the climax with the resolution. Okay, let's see. What else did we have for the midpoint? So 6 is Coliseum fights with the Muskakitties. We have to add our characters. We got the Flying Mouse, the Alien Devil. We got the 3 Muskakitties. Muskakitties. Or the Muskatitties. As something's going to refer to them as. Okay. And let's see what else. Hey, what's up, John? Welcome, welcome, welcome. 3 welcomes to you, my friend. We're just working on developing our Hermes the Cat story right now. I know, I was tripping like Hermes on catnip. I was like, I haven't even had catnip. Okay. And let's see, what else do we got? So I think we had to determine, so 6 is Coliseum fights. Level 5, which technically is going to be our midpoint, is has to the hunt, or he has the hunt has to hunt down animals. And this is going to be a failure point. Let's see. What? I'm just trying to think if I want to split this up. So I think if I was working on this myself, this is what I would do to make this easy. So I would break these up into additional beats. So that way I could remind myself. I would put ending. This is how I would do this. Technically, you could say that this is going to be our climax. Perfect. So I would say instead of the ending, this is going to be we'll just put Act 3. Middle, we'll put Act 2. And then beginning, Act 1. So super easy, right? So we have Act 1, Act 2, which also includes the midpoint, and then Act 3, which includes our climax and the resolution. Perfect. So that's how we have it. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Atomic? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. We got the full crew here. Glad to see all y'all. Don't forget the Red Cat Red Bull. And we know that's going to be Hermes thing. So we got the Red Cat. Red Cat use of Red Cat Red Bull. Perfect. So you guys see how I'm breaking all this stuff up. Now everybody has their own style. And I love that, right? You said you've never seen someone plot before. This is fascinating. So essentially, what I'm doing is because we've done so much community stuff over these past couple weeks. Let's do that. That's 28. So what we're doing is we're basically just clarifying everything that we have. Now, this is just a single story that we've workshopped as a community, but imagine if you were developing a story for like a 3 or 5 storybook series, or like if it was like 7 or 8, like especially if it was longer. So this is a really good way to clarify. Basically, what we're doing is we're getting all of our main information together. Let's get this, the world. Perfect. The outline. And these are just the core elements that we're going to need. Now, of course, you could, if you were working on the story yourself, you could start writing the story at any time. But if this were me, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm clear on all the things that I'm working on. So I got my story, I got my tagline. If this was going to be a script, scripts need a tagline. And then my themes, which we can fill out the themes a little bit more. I do not like that grammarly. And then we got our characters. We got Hermes the Cat, the Flying Mouse, Alien Devil, Alien Alligators, and the Three Musketkitties. Of course, I know we're going to get more characters. We got our world, which is Asylum, is a type of purgatory where lost souls must overcome challenges and collect a type of currency to ascend each level. I like love this story. I hope we have like some super cool like animators who could like bring this to life. This would be so cool. I totally envision this as an animated series or a graphic novel. We could write this as like, yeah, for some reason it seems like because there's so much visual elements to this, it could be a script. I think with this type of story, is the type that could actually be done in each of the formats. If it was written as a short story or a novel, it would focus on more of the interiority of Hermes' growth. If it was a script, it focuses on more of the visual aesthetic of what Asylum looks like and the game-like nature of this currency system. Yeah, I was like, I'm sure somebody could turn into a stage play too at some point. Somebody just has to be willing to wear a cat costume. All right, I feel like because I was the only one. Yeah, and this is John, I'm actually glad you brought that up, right? So, like, imagine that you didn't plot out your story fully, and then this is just a great point for any writer. Imagine you didn't plot out your story fully, and then you start writing it, you get 200 pages in, and then you realize that the last 100 pages of plot point that you've been working on doesn't match up with the original plot that you had taken. So now the first 50 pages of your story doesn't connect with the most recent 100. And now you have a challenge. Now, of course, like that's what rough drafts, you're supposed to have fun and you can go back through it in the second draft. But if we do a little planning, then we can minimize the amount of work we'll have to do in the second draft. Really, really great point. You're totally all good, Lewis. You've missed many weeks, and we have many more weeks of fun ahead of us. I'm sure this will not be our first nor our last community story. I've had a lot of fun putting Hermes the Cat together. Ooh, blood bending. I'm like, I want to learn more about this blood bending, Bethany. I think the blood bending magic you're working on is super cool. Like, no, the forbidden art. Dun dun dun. Okay, so where were we? I starting to finish our outline. So level 4 is a series of impossible tasks. And then I want to say, I think levels 8 and 7 we hadn't yet determined. Yeah, I think levels 8 and 7 were the ones where we hadn't determined. I think we were thinking about Egypt for one of them. If we're doing Colosseum fights for 6, this means we could do this as like a Rome. We'll just put Rome as the backdrop, which means it would actually make sense for us to do Egyptian level 7, Egyptian, Egypt. The first one's going to start in space. So because we're going to throw off our readers so they don't know what to expect. They'll be like, all right, a cat waking up in the middle of a bunch of alligators. We're going to make that super fun. I think level 8's the only one we haven't really determined what we want to happen with it yet. But I know we've touched on every single other level of this. And we actually have a pretty clear series. The hunt feels like that should be like a jungle. That should be a jungle. So that probably shouldn't be like present day, but that should probably be sometime between Roman Empire and some era since. Obviously, this is our present day. This is present day. And then you can see we're kind of having a change. Oh, that's right. I think we had wanted to do like a pirate ship actually for one of them. I'm pretty sure we had wanted to do pirates. So let's see if I'm thinking pirates, if we do Rome here. So I think what would make sense is we would do Egypt here and we do actually hold that thought. Pirates should probably be somewhere down here. Cave of Mysteries. Let's have fun. We'll have the pirate stuff. Pirates. We'll do that sometime after the jungle. It's like maybe we'll mix them up, but both those sound fun. So I think those are the key moments. I think I've gotten all of the structural things that we've explored or that we've talked about. Yes. All right. And then we've definitely done a lot. Use of Red Bull, addiction to catnip. And then what else are we going to? Okay. So I think I got all my story structure elements. Yes, I feel good about that. So let me pull up the other. I want to say we have character building. And I don't think we did too many character building days specifically because we had a lot of fun character building Hermes and basically just about everything else. Okay, so let me go. That was some of the other ones. That was not. I want to say that we did one core character building deep dive. Yep, for Hermes the Cat. Perfect. So this gives us what is our theme. This is another thematic one. It is a I want to get that so I can see both. Perfect. So our theme is it's a Scrooge type story. And we can even put here Hermes the Cat Lost in Asylum. And it's going to be it's kind of a mix. We kind of got fantasy and sci-fi elements in it. But it's definitely a comedy. So I would say that it would be because of the technological aspects to it, and especially because aliens, I think that this is definitely going to be more of a sci-fi. I think this is going to be much more of a science fiction comedy than it will be fantasy. The way, and like for those of you fantasy sci-fi fans, like I'm sure we could debate till the end of time, sci-fi versus fantasy. I do love that debate. But I think predominantly because we're using a little more technological speak, a lot of more technological elements, I think I would say probably this would be a science fiction comedy. Now, of course, the reason I like to give something a genre that I'm thinking of is because when you're writing your story, if you're writing for yourself, have fun, don't worry about anything. If you're writing to get it published for readership, you want to think about that whatever genre that you're writing your story in, your readers are going to be familiar with certain tropes. They're going to be familiar with certain types of words. They're going to be familiar with certain genre elements. So if I'm writing a science fiction story, I want to use more science fiction type tropes and elements as compared to fantasy. Now, of course, there's so many crosses. There's so many like sub genres, and that is absolutely an avenue to explore. But when I'm just starting out, I like to start with the general genre. And then as I explore the story, I could be like, okay, maybe this is like a science fiction, maybe it's like a post-apocalyptic science fiction thing, or for example. So that's why I always like to come up with a general genre idea when I first start. Okay, let's see. Let me check comments. Um, it absolutely can, Atomic. Thanks for bringing that up. It's so a lot of writers, there are a good deal of writers, right? We have our plotters and our pantsers. Plotters plot everything beforehand. Pantsers write by the seat of their pants. I, as a writer, like to help writers, and I think the not there's no right or wrong way to writing, but I am of the belief that if you get too far into a long story and you haven't done some of the structural work, you're basically setting yourself up to have to do 10 times the amount of work in the second draft. I'm of the mindset, start your story, have fun, write the scenes, write it out of order if you want, write it chronologically, but then at some point while you're working on the story, come up with, even if it's just a brief outline, some brief character stuff, and that way you'll help set yourself up so you don't have to do extra work on the back end. You've seen some people calling their work science fantasy. Interesting. I'm like, what even is that genre? Science fantasy. I was like, I would love to. I would love to challenge the science fantasy genre. That sounds like a fun genre to write in. What's that? It's like technology, but I was like, all right, I would have to think about that. That's a whole thing. I have no clue how I would do what science fantasy would be. Unless you had two opposing forces, one which was technological based and the other one which was fantasy based. You could technically go a whole like spirituality versus technology thing there, and that could be super fun. I could see how that would be a science fantasy type thing. Ooh, this is a good idea. So, what if there's a former ghost prisoner guide in early levels, like in beginning video games? You get a guide of how to do and to connect with the ghosts of Scrooge. We could do that. So, essentially, what that character would be in a story like this, that would be a mentor character, which we could actually do. Now, the mentor character would probably be a little bit more part of the world building, but that would be super fun, right? So, we could have a mentor, especially if this is a Scrooge type story. We could have a mentor type ghost character. That could be a lot of fun. Now, the way that we want to tie it best into the plot is we would think like, okay, how would this mentor character, how do we make it look? How do we make this mentor ghost type character act in a way that's going to serve Hermes' story the best? I absolutely love that idea. Ooh, space elves. I know I'm thinking of like now that I'm thinking of science fantasy, I'm like, I guess space elves would be like a thing. Any like fantasy creature, what would that would be like space dwarves? Would it just be all fantasy characters who are like on spaceships? Oh my goodness, that's kind of funny. I'm like, all right, how would I create a story if I was going to do a mashup between Star Wars and Lord of the Rings? That's kind of how I think science fantasy would probably go. The Frodo, the Jedi Frodo, the Order. uh Robo dragons. That would be great. We should have robo dragons in this story. I actually approve of this message. Y'all know if there's a creature that I approve of, this is my dragon. My favorite character. So I absolutely agree with dragons. Lewis, you know what's interesting is of all the stories, of all the popular fantasy genre stories, I haven't actually read Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, and I've absolutely heard great things about it. I was actually introduced to Sanderson when I read through when Wheel of Time after what's his face passed away, after Robert Jordan passed away, and Sanderson became like the new big thing with finishing that story. Okay. So let's see, mentor be mental, the refrain mentor be mental, the refrain child of Hermes, like the demons in the head, so to speak, the voice in Hermes' head. That could be fun. Making the mentor like a demon type character. mentor type ghost character. I say we definitely make him a demon. That sounds fun. A demon character, demon type. I think that's super fun. That's a great idea, Bethany. The space leprechauns control the stargates. You need a pot of gold to pass, or you have to travel through you have to travel through the rainbow, the rainbow pathway. Robo dragons will have to be next after Hermes. The next story is going to be about a robo dragon. Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. Let me get back to our character. Hermes. Okay, weaknesses. We developed a lot of his weaknesses. We know he's spoiled. Yep. He has no sense of humor. Let's see. We know that he wants food. Ooh, and he has a thing against dogs. That's right. We determined has a thing against dogs. Wants to rule over dog kind. Maybe he got wronged by the wrong dog. He got pawed by the wrong dog in one of his early lives. A dog bit off part of his tail. Okay. Catty Karen. Oh, that's right. His mom's name is Catty Karen. By birthplace confronts crazy confronts Catty Karen, the crazy cat lady. All right, and let's see. We didn't get too much story. Yep. We got that, and then that was the Puss in Boots thing. And we had determined. So we had determined that Hermes is going to be a type of character who relies on his intellect. Isn't as much of a fighter. He has a huge ego. Hermes has an ego. Huge ego characters are always fun. Always fun. Let's see. Cause him to underestimate. What else? John Hermeswick. I think we also determined there's going to be another character here named Mancoon, the giant cat raccoon. Mancoon the raccoon. Oh my god! I think we just have to call this Mancoon the raccoon. This is a character, Mancoon the raccoon. All right. Let's see. Oh, he's gonna get a fake eye patch in his pirate days. Let's do that. Okay, and then that was good. So perfect. We didn't do too much with the character part. Cantuna. Yep. No, that was That was Puss in Boots. Yep, there's our red cap wolves. Okay, so I think we got the core things that we had touched upon for character development. Let me now pull up our other world building stuff. Perfect. So now we'll look into the other world building stuff. I want to say we did about 2 or 3 world building workshops on Hermes. Let's see. Nope, that was that one. Let me blow this up so I can find it. Excellent. So this was, oh, here we go. I knew we had it somewhere. I did it in world building. Okay, let me check chat real fast. Robo dragons have to be a next. Yep. Hey, what's up, Marcella? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Marcella, awesome. Welcome. Marcella, I'm glad to see you. Okay, let's see. I definitely am more of a pantser. Let's see, you like to discover the story and characteristics as you go. I made a basic outline that was mostly a list of plot points that have to happen. Then I figured out how. And you see, that's always a good strategy, right? So for people who tend to be pantsers, or for people who end up being pantsers, and this was something I was touching on earlier, where like totally just start writing your story if you just want to get into it, but still like creating a point early on to plot out the core story saves you so much time in the long run. I guess we'll find out, won't we? I'm looking forward to digging into your story, Marcella. um, let's see, what else do we got? Hitchhiker's Guide. Hitchhikers is a great science fiction, absolutely. No, the first Mistborn book is my favorite fantasy book. The audiobook is awesome. I almost considered doing the first Mistborn book as part of my storytime series. I was going back and forth for a while on what to do as the first storytime reading. But then I was like, okay, it will probably be more effective to do something that's more current, but I'm still considering it. For I do want to read through Mistborn at some point. Canine Karen. Something tells me that our Karen is just going to have all these different nicknames based on whichever animal is talking to her. Tiny Tim is a chihuahua that lived next to Hermes. Oh my god, Tiny Tim. I feel like Tiny Tim will be a good character. I That's right, because we did determine the Chihuahua character. That's right, but I don't think we'd given it a name at the time. Um, Tiny Tim the Chihuahua. I was like, oh god, I hope I could say Oh god, how do I spell Chihuahua? I'm gonna get it wrong. Chihuahua. Chihuahua. There we go. He is a he's a spicy little puppy with a trench coat full of the goods. Okay, let's see what else do we got. By no sense of humor, do you mean he's deadpan and stoic, or so self-important he's not able to take a joke? Great question. So I think that when we were thinking of character weaknesses, we were thinking that like jokes go right over his head. So no sense of humor means that like he laughs at his own stuff, but anytime people tell jokes around him, it's like deadpan. And making that like an actual thing of maybe like actually gives me the idea. Maybe the flying mouse, his sidekick character, maybe he likes telling jokes, right? So it would create this type of a thing at heart. Maybe Hermes does want to laugh. Maybe he hasn't laughed in 10 lives. Maybe there's a thing right there. The flying mouse, the flying mouse is a jokester, or he wants to be a stand-up comedian. There we go. We'll make that easy. To wants to do stand-up. Well, we'll go with that for now. The mancoon was actually a mega-sized cat breed. Oh my god, that's funny. Mega-sized breed of cat. uh, this story is bonkers, Lewis. I agree with you. There is a reason that this story is I only put science, a science fiction comedy. This story is definitely a comedy. And I think what we figured out as we've been developing the story, right? So, like, this story is going to be purely comedic because we're having such extreme ideas for it, which is great. That just means that the type of story, like, you, with comedies like this, when you do stories, I wouldn't say this is a spoof, but when you do stories where they have more of like a extraordinary universe, the characters, the plot, the world, all of them are still real, right? You still plot and create those things the same way, but everything that's layered on is very fantastical. We see this a lot of time in adult humor. Think of shows like Rick and Morty, very fantastical elements. You know, shows like Futurama, American Dad, the adult humor animated shows. South Park tends to do this. It's real world context is the very like bottom layer of it, and then depending on the style, it's everything about it is fantastical. So like realistically, this is probably what, if it were made into an animated series, we would probably create this for like an adult um animation. That I think that's that type that this is kind of leaning towards. If it was a series, right? If it was just a standalone movie, it might be a little different. Let's see. Is Mancoon the raccoon as foil? I kind of like that actually. Like the Pacha to Hermes Kuza. Although Kuzka has a sense of humor. I actually kind of like that. That's a really good idea. Um I'm actually kind of thinking that Mancoon, so I'm going to move him up a little bit. I feel like Mancoon should almost be like the mentor character. Now, I know we were saying a demon type character, but I think Mancoon is an interesting, really interesting character and feels like this might be a little closer to home. I think we should still do a demon character. I think we should still do a demon ghost character, but we just make this a smaller character. We make this like a support, and we make Mancoon the mentor. But if Hermes is the most selfish character ever, then Mancoon we can make something really fun, right? So Mancoon, we could make him very like noble, or we could do any number of things. Now we know the flying mouse is going to be his sidekick, but we had also determined flying mouse isn't going to show up until Act 2. We could introduce him a little earlier, but as what we had determined so far was sidekick in Act 2. Mancoon might actually be a great character to introduce early on in Act 1 and then maybe bring him back. Or have him be that type of character who like pops up sporadically. Kind of like in what type of characters are those? Anyone who's played like Legend of Zelda, it's like the owl character who shows up randomly. It's that type of character who like has the wisdom and has something to say, but is only there at very specific points. We would just have to make it feel realistic, make it feel logical for why the character shows up. Let's see. John, we will defy odds. This will be the first story which will be traditionally published. We will defy the odds, my friend. If there's a will, there's a way. Although, in all honesty, this would actually be a much better story to self-publish. If this was written as like a short story or a book, and because there's so much visual elements to this, I think, and this is a great way. I'm glad you brought that up. For marketing, the way I would like if once the story was done, if it was a story, I would market it by putting all the character animations and pictures together, make it look like, hey, this is kind of like a Futurama type thing, but takes place in purgatory and it follows a cat, right? You do something like that. And then that's how you package it, but then you do it as like a story. I'm not super familiar with the story concept of it, but I'm sure there's a market there. Okay. Chi Chi the Chihuahua. So we're gonna have all of our characters just like absolutely love trademark types of food. Tiny Tim, the Chihuahua. Now we also got Chi Chi. Chi Chi is a great name as well. Actually, let's mix this. Tiny Chi Chi the Chihuahua. Tiny Chi Chi the Chihuahua. Spicy little puppy with a trench coat full of goods. Loves Taco Bell. Okay, I don't actually know if we can do Taco Bell, but we're just gonna say loves tacos. We'll do that. That's how we get around that. Let's see. 90s kid. Yeah, I know. Any 90s kid will get the Taco Bell reference. I don't think we had determined how old. I feel like we should actually make the Chihuahua like the oldest character, but he acts like a child. By that seems like that's what would work. And the way we get around trademark is we just always have him talking about tacos, so anybody would get the reference, but we never actually have him mention Taco Bell. That's the way you do in references like that. Or was Mancoon an equally selfish rival in life? Marcella, yes. That's what we do. Mancoon the raccoon. But the way we subvert expectations is Mancoon was his rival in life, but in purgatory or in this world of Asylum, he looks completely different. So Hermes won't recognize that he was his rival until actually let's make that the end of Act 3 or the end of Act 1. Let's make that the end of Act 1. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. All right. So that's perfect. So Mancoon the raccoon is the mentor, but he was also Hermes' main rival in life. Hermes realizes by the end of Act 1, so in when you go back down here in Egypt, Hermes realizes his mentor, Mancoon, was actually his rival throughout all 9 lives. And if Hermes is the most selfish character ever, then his rival would technically have to be the most like, what's the opposite of it? The rival would have to be like the most selfless. So technically, like, I mean, at least to complete a really good foil, Mancoon should probably be an extremely selfless character. I think having the flying mouse as more of like a comedic sidekick would actually work well here, so we don't have to worry about the mouse being having a system of morality, more about being about jokes. But Mancoon is going to be a selfless, but we're going to make him extremely selfless. Extremely selfish. And that way we will create so many fun moments of Hermes being a selfish asshole and Mancoon in the first part of the story being a selfless little saint. But in lives, maybe Mancoon was just a giant cat, and now he's come back as a raccoon because he always wanted to be a raccoon. Maine Coon is a cat breed. Wait, is that actually a breed of cat? Like, that'd be really funny. Let's see. Yeah, John, the reason shows like South Park do well is because they speak on current trends. So a show like South Park can literally last forever. That's why that type of adult humor lasts, because current trends never stop. Whereas shows that are following a story arc have to have an ending at some point. We could do that. That would be a fun thing. Like, let's make Mancoon an OCD type character. Let's make him OCD. That would be fun. Always. Or maybe instead of washing his hands, like he's always licking his paws. But he's a raccoon in this thing, but maybe because throughout his cat life, so he kind of does cat-like things, which would kind of make Hermes like question, but then he'll finally realize OCD, always cleaning himself. Marcella, you bring up a good point. Because if any of these characters are nice, generous souls, that begs the question, what are they doing in purgatory? Dun dun dun. Yes, and I think this is the fun about Mancoon's character, right? So he's going to be the type who says that he's extremely selfless, but he's realistically throughout life, he is probably as selfish as Hermes, but for completely different reasons, right? So his motivation for selflessness is actually has to be completely skewed. Mary, you know what? We didn't even have a Cheshire cat, but something tells me that we need to have a Cheshire cat as some type of like reference character. Anybody who's watched Alice in Wonderland, like, we need to have a character who references Puss in Boots. We need to have a character who references the Cheshire Cat. Absolutely. People love, audiences, readers love those types of references. So we should have a Cheshire Cat type character and a Puss in Boots type character. I'm saying those as the character cutouts. Essentially, we would just make them like small roles. That would be just super funny. TJ gets the shakes when he creates tacos. I could like totally picture that. The moment like the word taco is brought up, that's literally the only thing. He just starts like shaking like uncontrollably until he gets a taco. loves tacos, shakes whenever he hears the word tacos. Taco. I almost feel like Chi-Chi should like join Hermes for more than one level. Or I mean, we could just two ways, right? Either he joins Hermes or he just shows up periodically. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, there was a there was a game. What was that? So there was a video that kind of gives me this concept now. So there was this video game I played a while back called Catherine. The game itself is just a puzzle platformer, but the story of it was interesting, and it's kind of giving me that idea with the level thing. The farther the character gets through the levels, some of the characters show up consistently throughout the levels, and some of them don't. But you see some of the supporting characters' progression throughout the nightmare levels. And that gave me an idea that we might want to try something similar. So that way, a lot of these characters will show their progression and will show their storyline over the course of a couple of these levels as they show up. Yep. I'm glad somebody remembers that. But I'm speaking definitely more of like the story idea behind it. Of like this kind of seems like we have some really cool characters, and like some of these characters like should show up in like maybe different levels, or like I could totally imagine like tiny Chi-Chi the Chihuahua like showing up in like the ninth level, the sixth level, and then the third level, or something to that effect. And then every time they show up in their level, we get to further and see more of their story and see how it progresses. And if I were writing this, then if I were to write a scene, then I would be like, all right, this is the scene I'm writing. These are the characters that are going to be in this scene. So that way I give myself an idea of what character stories that I want to progress. Let's see. Marcella, love The Good Place, by the way. Good Place, absolutely. And I love The Good Place. Great show. Let's see. I guess we could go the Good Place route and have some fatal flaw unwittingly cause enough harm to condemn them, even if they weren't actively malicious. Wait, I guess we could have good and have some fatal flaw unwittingly cause enough harm to condemn them. You're talking about like how they were condemned to purgatory or to asylum, or how they end up getting out. The Gators. Maybe that's how we start the story. That's actually not a bad idea. If Hermes wakes up in a spaceship surrounded by alligators who are kicking Chi-Chi the Chihuahua around. Chi-Chi the Chihuahua around. That would actually be kind of funny. Like, wait, what? There we go. There's another reason for him to clean. He's trying to clean up his bald spots. Oh my goodness. I kind of like that. I think the Cheshire Cat should be a demon character. I think that's an absolutely great. So let's make the our ghost demon. I think I put Mancoon as that. So Cheshire Cat. So let's make this a ghost demon character. Cheshire Cat type reference. Absolutely love that, Marcella. Great idea. And of course, our ghost demon character will always be telling. We'll always have to have this ghost character talk in riddles, like always talking in riddles. That would be very fun. Let's see. Yeah, I bet that I see what you're saying. So the Cheshire would be like twins, like the Tweedles with the opposite, and they're the two doors. One leads to death, and the other to life. With that type of conundrum, we could. I'm going to move away from doing a second character for now, so we can focus purely on doing a single type demon character. I mean, actually, that gives me an idea. We could do it as a double devil type thing. Kind of referencing like the devil on both of Hermes' shoulders. We could do it that way. Um, when you do like twin type characters, it's challenging to get a lot of writers struggle with getting twins right because they either write the twins as a single character, even though they're two completely identities, or they write two completely identities that don't feel like they're actually twins. So twins are a challenge, but definitely up to the challenge. Atomic, that's actually a great level. So or a great point. So is each character trying to progress in levels? Do they think they're competing, or have some of them been there a while and figured out how to travel back and forth between levels? That's a really great point. I don't think we've actually determined that yet. Um, I'm totally open. So any of y'all want to weigh in on this because this would actually speak to the world, and this would actually be a major thing for the world. And can these characters do all the characters in the world of Asylum, can they do they have to travel chronologically from level to level? I mean, actually, we do know they have to travel chronologically, but are they able to travel back and forth? Are there ways to skip levels? We could actually probably do whatever we want. Um, I think the way to be doing it is it's basically one of those worlds where characters have to basically figure it out themselves. I think that would be the way. So that way we get to have like each level being this like crazy. And this is, you just bring up a really good point. So each level is its own crazy world with things happening. But the truth is, nobody really knows. There's no thing that's telling them. The alien alligators are watching, but I think it would be funnier if we don't actually give them what the route is. So we have all these different types of characters who are trying to figure it out. And every single character has their own solution and they're like, this is the way it is. So that's why they've all determined, that's why so many have determined, oh, you have to collect the coins. Or maybe every character has like their own philosophy, which we get to represent through the type of animal that they are. And that is how you get to the end. That could be some super fun. Um, oh my god, that's totally like one of those like animated shows. That would be like a thing. It's like something from like Adventure Time. He just regurgitates the tacos every time. Oh my god. Although I could totally see that the alligators are kicking him around, and then the second that one of the alligators mentions taco, he gets like super like shaking up, and he goes and like destroys the alligators. That'd be funny, right, Lewis? I completely agree. That's actually a really great comment, and that absolutely deserves a applause. Mhm. The level of creativity in this community is so badass. I absolutely love it. Y'all inspire me with all these ideas. I've realized as we've been working on Hermes the Cat, we have so much creativity and ideas in this group. It's pretty incredible. Okay, what else do we got? Maybe that could be it, right? So we could do a thing where Mancoon actually has gotten through the system, and this would go through with what you're saying, Atomic, with that the characters can travel back and forth between the levels. Maybe Mancoon's already figured out how to get through the levels. But then would have to figure out like, okay, so Mancoon, how did Mancoon know that Hermes was brought back? Why is Mancoon back at level 9? Um, we could go about the any number of ways. I actually wouldn't be opposed to that. That's a good idea. This Asylum, this is just becoming a Squid Games. We'll totally have to do one of the levels, probably like the difficult task level. Like the well, that one might be pirates, maybe the caves, but one of these levels we just do like Squid Game type tasks. People would have way too much fun with that. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Like, there we go. Maybe Mancoon is or feels like he's partially responsible for Hermes' death, and part of his redemption requires him to make up for it. That would then lead us to the question of why and how did Hermes die in life in his final life? Because we remember that Hermes wakes up in in a asylum or purgatory, and Hermes doesn't have any recollection of why he's here. That would be a good idea for her and part of his. I, I'm not opposed to that. That'd be a good idea. Bethany, you cracked me up. Jared, did you do a scarecrow named Buckwheat in your book who has moonshine issues? Bethany, I have not created Buckwheat. I have not created Buckwheat the character. I am a little too far into Last Scarecrow in this current draft to create a purely comedic character at the 80% mark. But Buckwheat sounds like a phenomenal character. I was like, I'm trying to think. Like, I think the closest I had to a comedic character was Crow. And then I was like, thematically, I don't know if I could fit a Buckwheat with Moonshine who would actually be comedic. Buckwheat is the prequel. Buckwheat, the first Scarecrow. When I work on the prequel series. Oh man, that'd be great. I love that. I agree. It could be difficult for Hermes to figure out how to progress himself, but with guidance from Mancoon that is non-specific, which at first frustrates Hermes. I agree. I think that's really good. Both all of you. I think we have a very real path through the first act with Mancoon. I absolutely love that. I feel like Mancoon is going to be a huge factor in helping Hermes figure out without really telling him what to do. But then the funny thing would be if they were rivals in life, then probably everything that Hermes does probably like really bugs Mancoon. So he's probably really going to push Mancoon the entire time until the end of the first act. Finally, like they'll have to clash somehow and something will happen. And Hermes will realize he was actually a Mancoon from his rival. Okay. So I feel really good with where we're at. So we've actually like so I mean we already had a pretty clear understanding of Hermes previously. I do not need you right now. Grammarly. Okay, maybe it'll let me close Grammarly. Okay. So nope. Let me make sure we save this. I'll just save it under doc. Hermes the Cat Lost in Asylum. We'll put story development. Perfect. Hermes the Cat Lost in Silence story development. So I think we have the core, we have the story set. Like, if I was working on this story, I would be all ready to start working and writing the next part. And this is probably a good moment. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. Casual writers group Monday through Friday. Clearly, we have a very creative community here, which is super awesome. And then let's see, this Friday will be story time. The next portion of Fourth Wing live reading, Saturday our story critique show, and Sunday the Creative Right Now podcast. This Sunday we'll be doing a deep dive into how to publish your story. That'll be super fun. So if you're subscribed and following, you'll be alerted when I go live. All right, beautiful. So with everything that we got, I feel like we've solidified all of the core components of this story. All right, so we have the core story, we have a tagline, we have some of our themes, which we're really exploring the themes through a lot of these characters. We've further developed a lot of these core characters, right? So Hermes the Cat is clearly a main one. Mancoon's going to be a main one. Flying Mouse we haven't touched on too much, but he will be more of a predominant one. We have our Chi-Chi the Chihuahua is clearly going to be another main character. Let's see. And then right now, these other ones are Ghost Demon character, Puss in Boots type character, whoever that is. The Alien Devil, who's going to be our antagonist. The Alien Devil will be the one that I would flesh out next. But if that could be a character, like if I was writing the story, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I kind of want to explore my story and see how my antagonist evolves. So right now, I would say that these I have right I have one protagonist, and right now I have one, two, three. I really have three major supporting characters I want to develop, which is absolutely perfect because I have 3 acts, which makes me think that each act I'm going to give a little extra time to really get to develop each of these characters. Clearly, Mancoon, we're going to get to do his story building in the first act. The Flying Mouse is clearly going to be like his stand-up comedian homie in the second act. And then Chihuahua, I feel like we'll introduce this character super early, but we won't actually really learn his real backstory until closer to the end. But he gets to be that like really like funny character who always has something to say and clearly has a craving for tacos. Maybe that's how Hermes and Tiny Chi-Chi get along. Hermes craves catnip and Chi-Chi craves tacos. We have fellow addicts in the making. What better what better comedy, right? And then we have our world. Clearly, we have our world. We have a very, very clear outline on this story, right? We have each of the acts, and we have them throughout each point of the story. The only one that I haven't really figured out yet is level 8, which is fine. If I didn't have a full thing, what I would do is I would just start writing and see what comes. So I feel really good with where we're at. Now, if I was working on this story, I would literally just start writing it. So that's essentially what I would do. Now, in terms of story development, what I'm going to do is I'm working on a way to create some community, to create a community thing. So that way we can interact on these stories outside of the live stream. I'm working on it. It's coming. So we'll come back to Hermes the Cat once I finish working on what I'm developing. In the meantime, I clearly all know I'm working on Last Scarecrow. I'm probably not going to be hopping on another story anytime soon, at least until Last Scarecrow is finished. If at any point any of y'all here in the community want to like have fun and like writing random scenes you come up with, that could be super cool. If you're ever looking for something to write, whenever we're doing free writes or in the future, feel free. I really like to think of this as a community story, and this is super cool. I wish I was like an animator so I could start like animating this thing because I'm just like so inspired by it. We'll take 2 tacos, one with cilantro and one with catnip. Oh my god, that tells me there's going to be like a fast food level where they're just going to be like great trying to hunt down like food. Oh, that sounds great. Let's yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we make this level 8. No, I don't. I'll come back. Like maybe we make it like a city. I was like, city and have the focus be on food. Um, all right. So I feel pretty good about what we have here. I will come back and we'll return to Hermes the cat, but I feel like we have a fully fleshed out, put together story. And I want to thank each of you for coming up with some incredible ideas. I think I've had a lot of fun listening to your ideas and developing this. And the reason that I wanted to start on this Hermes the Cat in the first place, because I want you to see how easy the development process can be. So, in your own stories, if you're ever stuck, you want to think through like, how do I plan out some of the logistical components? And then how do I overcome like things when I'm stuck in my story? I'm always of the mindset of like, plot and plan out the things when you're stuck. You're able to see like how kind of where how a brainstorm session can work when you're working and collaborating with other writers. Take these concepts, take ideas into your own writing process, right? And it just goes to show how much fun it is working and collaborating with the writing community. Let's see. All right. So that's what I got for now. I'll keep y'all updated on what we got coming with Hermes the cat. Well, I'll come back to Hermes the cat soon. Soon. TBD. Vaughn, thank you so much. Yes, share this with a friend if you're enjoying the stream or you want to help bring other writers to the community. But with that being said, it is time, my friends, for an advertisement. The Art of Writing newsletter. So I just launched the very first. I'm like super excited about it. I just launched the Art of Writing newsletter, the first edition today. I was able to wrap it up with enough time. Let's see if it'll let me show it on my profile. Maybe. Okay. So I just launched the new Art of Writing newsletter. If you want a looks like it's still sending. Okay. So if you want a copy of the Art of Writing newsletter, make sure that you are subscribed. I'm like super stoked. I'll show my screen real fast. Nope, that's not pretty. All right, so let's go there. Perfect. So Art of Writing newsletter, I just set up the first issue. I'm super stoked. Let me drop in the link if you want a copy. So the Art of Writing newsletter, I'm designing it as a way for you to be able to get like story technique, for you to be able to get techniques to improve your writing, specific step-by-step guides to help give you like actionable things to do when working on different areas of the writing development process. I will also be including stories. Right now I've just included my own story in this first one. My goal is to include community stories at some point as I continue to develop this. So if y'all want to, I should have the link ready. Perfect. So if y'all want a copy of this, of the Art of Writing newsletter, here is the link to sign up. And boom, there you go. So if you want a copy and you're not already subscribed, I launched it with the easy editing tool, but now you'll also get access to the newsletter itself, which I'm going to be making a consistent thing. So make sure you sign up if you haven't already. All right, beautiful. And that means it is time for our writing sprint. So time to get some writing done. I'm going to do 20 minutes. Awesome. So I'm going to get 20 minutes on the clock. And let me re-pull up my writing. As y'all know, I'm at a really intense part with Last Scarecrow. I think I'm at a really fun part, actually. I like love. So chapter 41 is the maze. For those of you who've joined me the past couple days, you know that. Oh man, so Scarecrow is in quite the dilemma. His friends are all gone, they've been stolen. He has to figure out how to fight the first demon. He's literally been sent and transported to wherever his friends were stolen and he's going to wind up in a maze. I haven't decided what I want this maze to be called yet. Scarecrow and friends must Scarecrow and the others are lost in a maze. We'll just keep it simple like that. Okay, so we're going to see what turns up with what happens with this chapter. Perfect. All right, so I'm all ready. Let me pull up the music. Feel free to join along if you want to get some writing in. There's literally so many things that we could be working on, whether that's brainstorming, writing, or editing, or sit back, relax, and I will write vicariously for the both of us. All right, I got 40 minutes in the clock, and it's time to write now. right. Wonderful. And the writing sprint. All right. So that was good. So I was playing around. I'm playing around with a couple of things with clearly Scarecrow's entrance into what I'm just calling the maze right now. I think there's a better chapter for it. As technically we're at the Scarecrow is it's called the attacking the I think it's storming the castle. It's the storming the castle beat. But essentially the Scarecrow right now, we're gonna have a lot of fun. I like so this is the part of the story until the Scarecrow has clearly traveled to the first demon's domain. And we're actually going to now explore what is the first demon's domain. I specifically didn't want to have this Scarecrow do a traveling thing and going to a castle because I felt that was overrated. I wanted him to be dropped directly within this domain. And now we're going to get to explore the complex and twisted nature. And we're going to get to explore not just Scarecrow's POV. I'm going to be coming shortly to our other heroes as well. Awesome. So that was great. I feel really good about the start. I'll probably be playing around with a lot of ideas in this in the next couple of chapters as we got to make the stakes. We got to make these some big ass stakes. So it'll be fun, really fun. Awesome. So that was great. I felt good about that. Hope you were able to get some good writing done on your part. Once again today, another excellent stream. I had a lot of fun working on Hermes the Cat, and we definitely got quite a lot accomplished. So make sure if, let's see what I got scheduled for tomorrow. Let's see, I can probably pull my schedule up real fast. I'm like, what do I got planned for tomorrow? All right. So for tomorrow, I got let's see, there was that one. Awesome. So I'll be back tomorrow with a writing session. So Thursday, I'm doing my writing session a little earlier. Um, yeah, I want to be able to get some early stuff accomplished on Thursdays. So I'll be back tomorrow for an afternoon writing session. Come join me. We'll do another write with me if you need to get some writing done early for the week ahead. So that's what I got. I'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll be back 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And that, my friends, is all that I got for you today. Make sure to tap that like button on your way out. Let me know that you got value out of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.